If there's one thing I love, it's comparisons between Finnish hockey-playing centers. Because once upon a time, there was one comparison that a lot of us kind of ran away with. And of course, y'all are seeing it on the screen right now. Jesperi Kotkaniemi was initially a Montreal Canadiens prospect who was taken 3rd overall and who had such a good rookie season in the NHL at only 18 years old that back in the 2019 timeframe, I remember Canadiens fans were saying, hey, this guy had a better rookie season than Alexander Barkov did all those years ago. Kotkaniemi is essentially the next Barkov. And that didn't go well, right? Kotkaniemi started to do poorly. His best NHL season with the Canadiens was his rookie year, and it wasn't until year 2 with Carolina where he actually was able to eclipse it point production-wise. Nowadays, he can't even get the games played. So Kotkaniemi obviously is not really the best example of a guy who lived up to his Barkov-like potential, or so they said. But today, we're talking about another Canadiens guy, and we're coincidentally talking about another Panthers guy that he's being compared to. Let's talk about Canadiens forward, not prospect anymore, Oliver Kapanen, and comparisons that say that he could be the next Anton Lundell. Now, let's dive into the Lundell profile here first before we read our source. But Lundell is one of the best young centers in the league. 24 years old, 6'1", 196, signed till the end of 2030, making $5 million a year. That is such a great number for a guy who provides the quality of play that Lundell provides. Now, you look at his overall numbers, you'll see 44 points in 64 games, which is actually reasonably good. I mean, if you multiply that out by 84, that's on pace for a, what is that? 57, 58 point year? That's not that bad, right? I mean, 60 points almost for a guy who is in his early to mid-20s, a guy who has pretty much been producing like this for most of his career. But then you think about it and you actually look at the quality of defensive stability Lundell provides. Everything that Barkov was developing into, Anton Lundell is essentially doing the same thing, just maybe not to the same magnitude like we have seen out of Barkov. I mean, Barkov has himself, 3 Selke trophies? Anton Lundell, he could win 1. I would probably assume he wins at least 1. But getting to 2, getting to 3, that's where things start to become a little bit unpredictable, we can just say. But Anton Lundell is essentially a shadow of Alexander Barkov at a younger age, and this is a guy whose point production doesn't really fully demonstrate the value he brings the Florida Panthers. And when you think about Oliver Kapanen, Montreal Canadiens guy, the idea that he could be living up to Lundell is quite intriguing, and this is what Gabriel Sammy went out there and posted about on HabsFanatics.com earlier last week. Canadiens forward draws Anton Lundell comparisons. I think they see him as their second-line center. The Montreal Canadiens may have an Anton Lundell-type player, according to Felix Seguin. TVA Sports official play-by-play announcer for Canadiens games made the comparison, which says plenty about the expectations surrounding Oliver Kapanen. Seguin discussed the young center during an appearance on the Sick podcast. He views Kapanen as a short-term solution at second-line center and brought Lundell's name into the conversation. Kapanen is coming off an up-and-down rookie season. He moved into the middle of the second line. He delivered some strong moments and struggled throughout others. The young forward recorded 22 goals and 37 points, which is a solid point total, even if playing with Ivan Demidov certainly helped. But the final stretch of his year was very difficult. At times he had looked overwhelmed. His limited impact in the playoffs can partly be explained by fatigue as he was going through the longest season of his career. But still, with the Canadiens failing to add a second-line center this summer, Kapanen could return to his role as the team's second-line pivot this upcoming season. Now, Kapanen did not have the best end of the 2020 season, 23 years old, 6'1", 194, a right-handed guy, second-round draft pick by Montreal 5 years ago. The fact that he's even in the NHL is a pretty good sign, and the fact that he was able to get 20-plus goals as a rookie is also a pretty good mark. Kapanen was on Team Finland's Olympic team. He also had 7 games played for Montreal in the playoffs. There's a lot to like out of the future of Oliver Kapanen, a guy that was already so exciting to watch during his days in Kalpa in the Finnish Liga and in Timra in the Swedish Hockey League. Kapanen is going to have a lot more time to develop, and we all hope that he is able to fill out the rest of his potential. But the question is, does that Anton Lundell comparison hold up for Kapanen? It makes sense in several ways, the article says. The Panthers' Finnish center plays behind Barkov and Bennett in a third-line role. Much like Kapanen could, Lundell can move into the top 6 when needed because he is a responsible player. There are some major differences, though. Lundell has never scored 22 goals or even topped 18 in a season, but he has been the more consistent producer overall without playing alongside of someone like Ivan Demidov. Lundell has also excelled in the playoffs, which has not been the case for Kapanen. Kapanen is younger, though, and still has plenty of time to develop. Now, Anton Lundell is going to be turning 25 by the time the season begins. Oliver Kapanen, on the other hand, he had just turned 23, so 2 years is the difference there. Lundell also, he was so good in the Stanley Cup Playoffs, almost a point per game during the back-to-back wins, and half a point a game when Florida lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. Anton Lundell was really able to learn the ropes of National Hockey League defensive prosperity, but that goal mark is actually pretty accurate too. The guy's only had 18 goals in a career-high year. Oliver Kapanen has a 22-goal season in his first NHL season. Although, to be fair, Lundell was not able to play a full 82 in those 18-goal years. Still, though, Lundell is more accomplished. He's got 2 Stanley Cups. He is a future Selke nominee, if not winner. Can Oliver Kapanen do the same thing? Is he going to be more of a north-south goal scorer, a guy who can just snipe it from nowhere, a guy who will be feeding Ivan Demidov, or will Oliver Kapanen develop more of that two-way stability in the National Hockey League? He was already able to display that a lot in Europe, but obviously NHL, smaller ice, faster game, it's a lot more of an adjustment that most players have to make. What's your take on the comparison over here? Oliver Kapanen, Montreal's second-line center, maybe for the long haul, who really knows? If Montreal ends up getting a Dylan Larkin, for example, or an Elias Pettersson, obviously you would see Kapanen go down a tier, maybe in the same way that Lundell is playing behind Barkov and Sam Bennett. Although it should be said that Lundell had a little bit more playing time this previous season because Barkov was hurt the entire campaign. But either way, from Jesperi Kotkaniemi to Alexander Barkov, now we're talking about Oliver Kapanen and Anton Lundell. Do you think this comparison makes sense? Do you think there is some truth to how Kapanen is going to be able to develop long-term? And do you think he could inevitably supersede Anton Lundell one day? Both of these guys are in a pretty similar age range. They're just separated by 2 years, so it's a lot closer than you may think. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments section, how do you feel about Kapanen and his development? So, and bye.